Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. Today, we're going to discuss how you can buy a business with no money. So whether you're looking to start a business or acquire a business, you need to know about companies that are statistically proven to succeed and how you can actually get the money that you need to acquire these businesses. These businesses are consistently proven year after year to make money. This strategy allows you to make income on day one, and this is how the largest amount of people on the Forbes 500 list have made their money. This is also a strategy that not only the wealthy can use, but you can do the same thing, and I can do the same thing. Some of you don't like Shopify stores. I get it. You don't like Amazon FBA. You don't like social media marketing. Well, this is a way for you to bypass all of that, but I'll also discuss the pros, the cons, as well as who I think this is best suited for. And we'll also discuss the best place for you to find these businesses that you can acquire using a business acquisition loan. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now, I'm going to share with you some statistical facts when it comes to businesses, especially startups. Now, this is not meant to discourage you, but rather I'm just trying to make a point for the purpose of this video, because there's so many reasons why a business can fail. But in my opinion, the number one reason is that people quit too soon. Now, with that said, on average, about 20% of businesses fail within their first year, 50% fail in their first 5 years, and 65% fail within their first 10 years. The survival rate is significantly lower in the early years, with a higher percentage of businesses struggling to make it past the initial stage. Now, there is a study called the Lindsay effect. The longer a non-perishable item like technology, an idea, a book, or something like that has been around, it's likely to remain relevant. Essentially, it suggests that things age in reverse, meaning the future life expectancy increases proportionately to the current age, and this applies to small businesses that have operated for longer than 10 years. If you own a business that has been around for longer than 10 years, it is statistically less risky than an exciting new startup idea that someone had. So the idea of business acquisition is to find a business that has survived through recessions, crises, stock market crashes, tariffs, right? If you can find and acquire a business that meets these criteria, you'll be able to cash flow through good times and bad times, and that's really what you're looking for. Let's talk about why you never hear about business acquisition or the common person ever talking about purchasing or acquiring a business instead of starting one. Well, first, there's a fear of not understanding what you're doing. For example, sellers don't always disclose everything, especially when it's not in their favor or in their best interest. And even if they disclose everything, there's definitely ways that the buying a business process can go wrong. Sometimes you buy it and the customers decide that they're not going to keep doing business with this company under new management, or the employees might decide to, not stay. They don't want to work for you, or you just don't have the same sales or skills or personality or connection that drew people to that business in the first place. But despite the risk, if you do enough research about the business, you should be able to determine if the odds of success are in your favor. For example, there are some businesses that really are predicated on your personality, where if you don't have that same personality or that charisma as someone else, like for example, you can purchase YouTube channels. If you're not able to produce the same amount of content or the same type or with the same, let's say, charisma or pizzazz or whatever the case may be, that may not be for you. There's other examples of that, especially when it comes to, let's say, like local sales. A lot of people build relationships with the people that they work with for several years. And because of those relationships, that's why they were able to maintain such a healthy business through, all types of crisis, throughout the years. The next thing is that people are not sure how to find these businesses. Now, we're going to actually get into that later in the video. I'm going to show you how you can do that and locate these businesses that you want to acquire. And I'll also be showing you how to buy them, which is one of the other things that people are not sure about, exactly how to even present this. Now, finding and buying these companies is not complicated, but it is work on your part. That's going to be the work that a lot of people are missing. And no matter what business you're doing, if you're starting up a business, it's never going to be as easy as you borrow money, you somehow make money, and then everything's good, or you borrow money, you buy a business, and everything just works out. You're going to have to be very well researched and very well versed in this industry, this field, or you just have to have a skill for being able to identify great value in a business. And that in and of itself is something that you're going to have to work on. Now, the last one, which is of course the number one reason why people aren't buying a business, is money. Now we can talk about how you can buy a business with no money. There are four main types of small business acquisition loans that we're going to discuss today. However, there are numerous types of business loans, many of which are well suited to people who want to acquire a business. But these are the four main types of business acquisition loans that I would like you to consider. Number one is SBA 7A business acquisition loans. There are a wide range of loans offered by the Small Business Administration, including the SBA 7A loan, which we've talked about on this channel. I have an entire video where I go over this. Now, while the SBA 7A loan isn't issued solely for the purpose of acquisition, the funds can be used towards the purchase of a new business. With an SBA 7A loan, you can borrow up to $5 million, but typically you'll need to make a 10% down payment for that amount. That's why I recommend looking at smaller loans. There's also SBA microloans where you can get up to $50,000. Now, I don't know if that's going to be enough for you to acquire that business, but that will vary from business to business. In order to qualify for an SBA 7A loan, you'll need to have a good credit score and enough cash flow to keep up with the loan payments. And the SBA doesn't lend directly to business owners. Instead, applicants must apply with a lender that specializes in SBA loans, and this includes banks, credit unions, and each lender will have their own approval requirements. So you should still compare lending options even if they're providing the same type of loan. And once again, I have an entire video that covers SBA loans, how to qualify, and I also have a free guide on my website with the top SBA preferred lenders in every state. You'll probably notice this later on if you go through any of my videos where I talk about business loans. When you're asked the reason why you need the loan, there is an option you normally see for acquiring a business. So that kind of lets you know right there, like there's many reasons why you can use these loans as well as business acquisition. In addition to SBA 7A, you can also stack loans. Like you can get multiple SBA 7A loans or you can get multiple business loans. My recommendation is just making sure that you get the best interest rates and the best terms that suit your needs. The next option is seller financing. Now, this might appeal to business owners who are retiring, but they're still interested in passive income streams. So in cases like this, the loan term could potentially be more flexible since you're making financing arrangements with an individual rather than an actual bank or financial institution. You may also need a large down payment, I would say of up to 50% of the purchase price, to make it more appealing to the seller to finance the rest of the deal. Then you'll need to agree on terms, including the interest rate and repayment period. These details are outlined in the loan promissory note, which must be drawn up by a lawyer and it's legally binding. Now, you'll probably not find seller financing the same across any spectrum of like information because these are usually individually tailored between you and the business owner, okay? This is a great way though that you can actually start making money from day one, and you'll also help the business owner make money. This is especially great for, once again, people who are retiring or looking to just do other things with their time and kind of walk away from that business. And you kind of come in and get to take over a business that already makes money. While they get to make a little bit of income, you'll start making income too on day one. The third option is online lenders. Online business acquisition lenders often have less stringent approval criteria than a traditional bank lender, and they may offer more funding options too. Online lenders have different requirements for applicants, including length of time in business, minimum credit scores, and annual revenue. Online business lenders have a reputation for much faster funding times when compared to banks and credit unions. Now, pre-approval is generally fast. Once you've submitted all your documentation, funds could arrive in your bank account within a few days. But these conveniences may come with rates that are typically higher than those seen with traditional banks. Now, for example, I've recently been approved by another online lender where it was $30,000, but they wanted to basically charge me on a weekly basis. When I actually looked at the amount that they were going to charge me, it was going to be 27%. Now, here's the thing. If for whatever reason, $30,000 can get done whatever I needed done, and I was going to start making income on day one, maybe I would be okay with paying that 27% interest rate. That is extremely high, extremely. But if I was making 300% my investment, maybe that might make sense if that was my only option. Or maybe I had other options, but I just needed a little bit more money to finalize that deal. Maybe I would do that. In most cases, I wouldn't, but it will depend on what you are looking to do. All right. Now, I recommend that you get a small business line of credit. In these situations, they're a little bit better than some of the loan terms as far as the interest rates go, and you can draw on the lines of credit whenever you need them. The last type of small business acquisition loan that we're looking at is equipment financing. So businesses that rely heavily on equipment may sometimes rely on equipment financing to fund their purchases. Now, in order for this to be an option, the bulk of the business's value should be in the equipment. Like a construction firm, for example, they may rely on a bulldozer and other heavy machinery. So if you're looking at that, or like an accounting firm where maybe they use a lot of computers or systems, anything like that, because the equipment is used as collateral, an equipment loan can reduce the immediate cost of acquiring the business. You may also be able to avoid making a down payment depending on the lender. So these are the ones that I recommend that you use. Again, these aren't the only ones. I have so many videos on this channel about business loans, SBA loans, lines of credit, equipment financing, just different ways that you can actually go about getting this funding. And you can also raise the capital. Not everyone has to actually use a loan in order to do this. You can get angel investors, or again, you can give someone else a percentage of ownership in this business, but maybe you take on a majority of the financial risk if it defaults. And that also will hold you accountable or liable if you are unable to actually make this business cash flow. So that is one way that you may want to consider, but just know the pros and cons of that as well. Let's discuss the pros and cons of a business acquisition loan. And one of the primary pros or the benefits of a business acquisition loan is the ability to secure ownership without depleting your personal savings, which helps you maintain liquidity for other needs. If you can borrow money at a very low cost in order for you to make money, it's so much better to do that and use the bank's money as opposed to using yours up front. Again, that's for liquidity. You want to have some funds that are liquid. Lenders will give you a competitive interest rate, especially if it's through the SBA, making these loans way more affordable than alternative financing options. And the loans also can provide you with the opportunity to acquire a business with an established customer base, reducing the risk compared to starting a new business from scratch. Now, there are a few cons. I would say one of the biggest cons of obtaining a business acquisition loan is that it can be a lengthy process requiring detailed financial records and a solid credit history. Some borrowers might face high upfront costs, including down payments, origination fees. Furthermore, repayment obligations can strain your cash flow, particularly if the acquired business doesn't perform as expected, which can leave you in a very vulnerable place. But that goes back to doing your research and making sure that you understand exactly what you're doing. You should definitely be looking for a business that has a great profit margin. Applying for a business acquisition loan typically requires more work than any other type of business loan. You'll need to provide information about your finances and the business you want to purchase, a fair to good personal credit score. You want to have personal and business bank statements as well as tax returns ready. You want to have business financial statements and even a business plan, proof of down payment or collateral. And additionally, you'll likely need to supply some details about the acquisition and the business itself, such as a letter of intent outlining the terms of the acquisition and a company valuation. Now, these are all just general things that you should have in mind. There are plenty of business loans that let you use the money as you see fit, whether that be to reinvest into your own business, payroll, to keep things afloat, anything like that. It's up to you, right? So with that being said, you don't have to necessarily use a business acquisition loan, but I do think that you'll get higher amounts and you probably will get lower interest rates, especially if you can actually show this is a cash flowing business that I'm going to acquire from day one. We'll be able to make payments on this loan, then that might get you, a better position, better interest rates, and even better terms. So now I'm going to give you a list of the best businesses that you can buy. Now, here's the thing. I just want to get your mind in the right perspective for this. A lot of people, when they think of being a business owner, they're thinking about a lot of flashy things. They're thinking about, exactly what it looks like to be a boss, to be an owner. Here's the thing. The businesses that make the most money and that can consistently survive all types of crisis, it's going to be these boring businesses that you see every day that you would just walk past and not think anything of. And hey, I'm sorry, that's just the case. It's not anything exciting or super flashy. It's very simple business ideas that people need. So again, I just want to get you in the right mindset when you're looking at these, because again, it's going to seem so obvious, but I mean, these things have worked statistically. Now, number one is going to be waste management and recycling. So it doesn't matter if we're in good times or in bad times. If you live in New York, if you live in Los Angeles, if you live in Europe, if you live in America, people have trash. No matter how good the economy is doing or how bad the economy is doing, people will accumulate waste. And if you can find a recycling company or waste management company or trash bin cleaning or disposal business, anything that focuses on waste management, this is a business that can withstand the test of time. Now, most investors like to look at what type of companies have high gross margins because it helps give a little bit of an indication, not exactly, but a close indication of what kind of cash flow dynamics that you're going to have with this business. Now, for waste management and recycling, these typically have between a 30 to 40% gross profit margin. Number two is something that should seem very obvious, but it's beauty and cosmetic products. If you have a wife, daughter, sister, aunt, generally a lot of women and men as well, they love to get their hair done. They love to get lashes, stuff like that. It doesn't matter if it's 2008 when we had the real estate financial crisis or if it's 2021 during COVID. Regardless of the times, you're going to see people with beauty products and cosmetics. It doesn't matter about the geographic preference. There will be an individual that will focus on beauty and health and things like that, haircuts, salons, nails. You see it all the time. These are the type of businesses that will last, and these companies can have a pretty attractive gross margin, somewhere around 40% to 50%. And this is like amazing. I personally have actually looked at starting my own skincare business, and I'm not going to talk about what it is because I might still do this later on. I don't want anybody to take my idea, but it's a great idea. And the particular audience that I wanted to direct it to, it's still there. And I think it can make a lot of money. The only problem was how much it costs to actually manufacture this and then to then advertise it to then start generating income. I don't think it was very difficult. So imagine if instead I tried to acquire a business that already had like some sort of presence, and maybe all I had to do was just push social media or something of that nature that I understand after acquiring that business because they already had the infrastructure. I can then take that and, I might make an entire empire. I might turn a $300,000 investment into a couple $1 million. And that's the great thing about business acquisition. Number three is a car wash. Now, a car wash is going to always be a good business due to the high demand and potential for profit. As long as people are driving cars, they will most likely get them cleaned and the demand will continue to exist. Now, these type of businesses can have 60% or more gross profit margins. Now, when it comes to these businesses, I see them everywhere. I see them a lot. I can see them in a gas station here where I live at in Las Vegas, Nevada. Everyone knows of a couple of different brands of car washes that we see like on every corner. This can be very lucrative, but you may want to look at your area and determine if there is a lot of competition. If there is, you may want to look somewhere else, or you may want to add on additional features like stalls or something that makes yours stand out. Or if you're acquiring a business, one that will stand out amongst all the other ones. And again, this is something that you could look at financing by getting an equipment loan, and you can maybe take that off the owner's hands if maybe they had a really bad interest rate or something, where you're like, hey, I'll come in, I'll help, but this is what I'm looking for as far as profit. And this is what I'm looking for as far as my stake in this business and what I'm going to take by relieving you of this burden. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. And it's something that, once again, will stand the test of time. Number 4 is laundromats. Now, we're moving on to laundromats, and I like this one because I'm just gonna say laundromats and dry cleaning. As long as people are wearing clothes, clothes will get dirty, of course. Everyone doesn't have a washer or dryer in their apartment unit. Some people don't even have them in their homes, and then they need to go somewhere to wash their clothes. You guys may not have known this, but in the last few years, tariffs had originally started with washing machines and dryers, or it was the dryer or the washer. I'm not sure. It was like LG or a particular brand, but it made the cost of them go up. And then naturally, if one of them go up, the other one has to, because you kind of need both of them, right? So it cost a lot more money to actually have one of these if it wasn't already installed in your unit. Thus, there are laundromats that still exist that people can go to where they can wash their clothes in a public setting. Now, the thing about laundromats is that they can be pretty competitive. So your prices have to be, I'm not going to say low, but they have to make sense for the consumer. I think for this, you need to understand who you're talking to, who your audience is, and where the place that this is going to actually work best at for you. And if you can find a laundromat with limited competition, and you can, maybe add some additional services like washing, folding, dry cleaning, maybe put a restaurant next to it. I'm just spitballing, right? But you can do this, and the margins typically for this type of business can vary, but I've seen between 30% to 50%. And once again, this is something that everyone will still need. Things are going up. This is going to be something that will help people, especially if you put it in a particular area where that there's apartments with no dryer and washing units. Because what are they going to say? Oh, if you don't have this, go down the street to such and such laundromat. That's a perfect example of how you just have your business in the right place at the right time. All you have to do is find a business to acquire, maybe do some renovations, add a couple of new additional services, and this might be cash flowing for you on day one. And for number 5, I have funeral services. Now, this one for me is very close to my home where I'm from. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I grew up with my great grandmother, and she owned a funeral home, and she was the owner and operator of this funeral home until the day that she died. And the fact of the matter is, everyone needs to be buried. You need to celebrate your life with your loved ones that have passed away. And there's always going to be a need for people to operate cemeteries, as morbid as it sounds. Funeral homes and funeral services in general, if you can find a business that typically these are family owned. And like I said, I know this because I've had it in my family. These are businesses that will operate on that type of premise. So I would say if you can handle people with care and people with integrity, then they may look at selling this to you or maybe becoming a partner. Now, there are people that I'm not even going to give the rate, but we know that people pass every single day. There's even a website where you can go to and you can see how many people are born in a second and how many people pass. And it lets you know like how many people are here and are gone. And this is something where, of course, everyone knows at some point they are going to pass. So you will see profit margins for this that can range between 50 and 60%. So last, I'm going to show you how you can find a business. Now, even if you don't end up buying a business using this website, it's www.bizbuysell.com. I recommend that you reach out to a lot of the business brokers, build a relationship so that they can think about you in the future. You may have an idea for a particular business that's not available. It's good to build relationships. All right. So let's go over to the website and take a look. So we're currently on bizbuysell.com, and you can type in like your state, type in the industry that you're looking for. I'll just leave it at all industries and then search. And you can also look for businesses and also franchise. So we'll establish bridal, quinceañera, retail business for sale, Las Vegas aquarium maintenance company, Shopify, Amazon, CMOS brand. So you can even purchase an Amazon store. 20-year plus, world famous auto repair shop. There's auto repair shops, which are very good, very profitable. RC hobby retail seller and financing. So guys, you can go through here and search all types of businesses. Maybe it'll be an industry that you actually, feel good about. Or, I've lived here for a while. Some of these places I feel like I recognize, like definitely some of these I recognize, and I'm thinking, I didn't even know that that person was thinking about selling. That's interesting. So I recommend that you go here, check it out. And again, even if you don't, you can build a relationship with a broker. If you live in a city and you know these people, go down and talk to them. Go down and talk to them. Have a conversation, talk to them, build a relationship with these people. I always believe that if you can actually like genuinely care about people and you have a genuine idea for their business and you handle this as delicately as possible, I think that you can get better terms, better outcomes, especially if you're looking at doing seller financing. All right. So take a look at the website. I'll leave a link in the description, and let me know if you guys find any interesting businesses that you might look to acquire. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If this is a topic that you're very interested in and you would like to know more about, please let me know in the comments below. I would definitely love to do more videos on, business acquisition or anything like that, or going further with business acquisition loans or anything else that you'd be interested in, like a top 10 business acquisition loan or anything like that. So please let me know in the comments. Again, I would be more than happy to talk about this further with you. And let me know if any of these ideas, maybe they resonated with you. Maybe it's something that you're willing to actually try. I would love to start a conversation with everyone below. And if this content was valuable to you, please like, subscribe, and share it. That really helps this channel grow. And I would really appreciate it if we can get this channel to 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year. That is my goal. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and you have a wonderful day.